I feel comfortable now with making changes and pivoting. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that overcoming that fear, because that was slowing us down initially because I was so set in a way. And I'm like thinking, well, it's been working. It had been working. I think that saying is that if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. Hi, I'm Elaine Winslow, and I'm the owner of Empower Accounting Services, Inc., and we're located in Valencia, California. And these are my two team members.
I'm Jessica Mascari. I am the Finance and Administration Executive, and I'm Brittany Stewart, and I'm in charge of all the client compliance, mainly in charge of all the accounting for all of our clients.
I would say that I had the business open for quite a while and had been doing things that I could intuitively, or if I gathered information, I was trying to grow the business and make changes. And at some point I realized it was more than I myself could handle to make the changes we needed to make in the business. And that is when I looked at the team and thought, where do I have resources that maybe I can get help? And I realized that I think not only for myself, that we could benefit from getting leadership training so that I can ask Jessica and Brittany to help me make the changes and grow the business intentionally. And also, when we thought about scaling the business, I thought that it would be important for them to gather the skills now and the knowledge to be able to lead teams so that we could all become leaders in the business.
For me, we had between us a bunch of different goals and tasks, probably way too many to accomplish at one time, and a bunch of different tasks. So that's where we were coming from. I think for me, I did not see myself in a leadership position. That wasn't something that I even thought of. So I kind of lacked the confidence to take on that role. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. So I think that was working with you, we definitely got an improvement, but just the lack of confidence and then the maybe misalignment, we all had different goals, just like Brittany mentioned. So it was about getting together and really making sure that we were all in the same team and making sure that we're completing all the goals together. You helped us with making sure that once we looked at the big picture, what our goal was, that we could make the changes with reasonable expectations by quarter and not trying to do everything all at once, even though it might have felt like it sometimes. So you helped us to get more organized and be more intentional with how we were meeting and conversations. And I think we're more guided and clear. And I think the accountability that you held us to was really important, because we could see us accomplishing those goals and know that they were attainable and that we saw successes. I feel like the messages that you send were like in alignment with other coaching that we do, but also that you help with the mind shift change. And I think that's huge, because when you're here or when you're talking to us, I really felt like a personal connection and comfortable with you in the conversations, even in vulnerability. That's not something you typically can build with somebody very easily. And with you, that was very easy to be vulnerable, to be open and honest, so that we can make progress and make changes. Especially for me, having run the business for so long, I had to make some major mind shift changes, because it wasn't like we were doing horrible, but we could definitely do better. And that was scary for me. You took the fear out of a lot of things, trying new processes and implementing new things, because I didn't know, what the outcome was going to be. So I would say the biggest thing is mind shift change and being able to be vulnerable with you. For me, I was very similar to Jessica. I didn't see myself as a leader. So I remember our first one-on-one meetings, we all came out of them we all thought it was kind of like a therapy session, really dumping all of our thoughts out to you and how you can help us reframe those and help us get to our goals by getting the fear out of the way and really being in alignment with one another and making sure we have clarity. I think the best thing about it is you definitely allowed us to helped create a safe space for us to share our experiences, be vulnerable, and just, like Brittany said, get the clarity that we needed to move forward and just be stronger as a team to make sure that we can accomplish the goals that we have. And I do want to add more, if you don't mind. When it comes to corporate wellness, that was the other coaching that we had, and we're trying to have work-life balance. And I think you were really hitting home for us work-life harmonization or synergy. And
and also made me feel better in the fact that there are times when I do need to put in extra time, and as much as I work really hard to take care of myself, also you made it feel like not judged that that you do have to put a little bit extra work as the owner of the business, and that not all rules apply depending on what your responsibilities are to your business. And so I think that you took that pressure off, and I still managed to increase my capacity at the office. And I also found that I have more time that I'm spending with my family. And so in our conversations, you didn't only look at the business side or professional, you also related it to us at the personal level. And that was something I really believed in and was looking for. And so I was so grateful to find somebody that spoke to both. Our thoughts or our goals or our projects were more organized, that whenever we met together, we were more efficient and in alignment. And so that definitely saved on non-billable time, because of the administrative time that we spend. Sometimes when you're in this field, you start looking at what's like overhead. So we reduce that type of overhead by being able to be more in alignment and efficient in attaining those goals. So I'd say that's the first thing. I would say that through the transition, because we did go through a rebranding and we went through a different pricing structure with their clients, we maintained a level of revenue that we're still comfortable, even though there was a huge change. And I think that working with you also gave me that feeling of security, because you were always encouraging and saying, hey, we're going to get to the next level, and entrusting that. And you also went at the pace that we're comfortable with, especially me.
Yeah, I feel similar in the terms of time. You really helped me focus on time blocking and what was actually attainable to get done in my day. So constantly adjusting that, because I would jump on calls with you and say, I just feel so far behind. I have 2 weeks of my calendar things that I haven't gotten done. So really focusing on time blocking, and also having all of our tasks organized underneath projects, and really seeing that, oh, maybe I only have 3 projects that I'm working on, so I'm blocking time to work on that project on this day was really helpful.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest, most helpful thing was the quarterly sprint planning, because it also allowed us to visualize it. I am a visual learner, so it allowed us to organize it in a way that the whole team can understand, and we can share with the rest of our team members, and they totally understood everything that we were trying to do as well. So the planning and the foreseeing for the future was really helpful.
And I did want to add, we also released some team members too with the downsizing and the cleaning up of the business, and I still gained more capacity. I felt we as a team really accomplished more. We have more team collaboration. There's other members that are not here right now that have really stepped up and contributed to giving us input. And we felt like a safe environment even after all the changes we made this year. We made a lot of changes, and sometimes that can disrupt the stability of a culture. And I feel like it even improved our culture too. The biggest thing for me is that after going through all of this with you, my biggest appreciation is that there was a lot of fear doing this, running the business or growing the business. And I feel like going through the process of doing our quarterly sprint planning and seeing that we can attain goals, or that we can take the steps to move towards a goal, made it easier for me to also realize that we're constantly pivoting, and realizing how many changes that are happening in our industry when we're getting hit with things that are going to be like competitors or hardships that we might be facing or coming down the pipeline because of changes that are happening with laws, or even the different companies that we work with, or like software or applications, etc. It's maybe even having to pivot and change your business plan doesn't seem so scary or daunting, because I know that I feel comfortable now with making changes and pivoting. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that overcoming that fear, because that was slowing us down initially, because I was so set in a way, and I'm thinking, well, it's been working. It had been working, but I guess I think that saying is that if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. And so I think when you help me to change by changing my mindset, I'm seeing different results.